Alrighty then, hello everybody and welcome to STG Weekly episode 190, I think? 191, crap, I messed up the graphic on the title, oh man. It's okay though, it's 191 actually, and that's going to be covering Soukyugurentai. Oh, I didn't have my Discord button pressed for you guys. Anyway, we're doing the intro. It's going to be on Soukyugurentai AKA Terra Diver. And this is a pretty cool vertizontal, as we call them, where you have vertical scrolling on a horizontal orientation. Shoot 'em up, 1996 Raizing. Pretty sweet game that kind of has a bit of a dark tone to it. But you have like some sweet, lasers and all that type of thing, and a sweet lock-on system that the game features. But we'll get all into about the game here with our expert guest, who is Prickly Angler. So welcome to the show, Prickly Angler.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So arcade game, and then ported to the PS1 and Saturn, and we'll be looking at Prickly Angler's one credit clear scoring run with the S.O.Q 004 ship as we get into the episode here. But why don't we just begin? We can just talk about Soukyugurentai and maybe a little bit about Raizing, or maybe even about how you got into playing the game, Prickly Angler. We'll just kind of let you take over here.
Yeah, I get to play. It was actually my second shmup. I played in the second shmup I cleared. It was the second game I got on my Saturn after Darius Gaiden, and I wanted to play another game, and I picked on this one because it was said to be quite good, and also because it was vertizontal, and I don't have a Tate screen at home, so for me it was important to be able to play the game as it was originally designed. And yeah, it's a game I like a lot, and with time it became my favorite shmup, and it's probably the shmup I've played the most in my life.
That's some pretty deep history, saying one of the first Saturn games you played, or that you had, and you kind of got into playing it even back then, so you must have already been pretty into shmups at that point.
Actually, not really at all. I bought my Saturn for playing Sakura Taisen, which is a JRPG, dating sim, tactical RPG. And I saw there was a lot of shooting games, so I picked one, which was Darius Gaiden. I liked it a lot. And I got to clear it eventually, like 1 month or two after playing the game, casually. And after that, I bought Soki because it was said to be quite good. And I just fell in love with the game. Obviously, I didn't understand anything at the time because I was quite a beginner. And the game is, I didn't realize at the time, but the game is actually considered quite hard compared to some normal arcade games. And I got tricked into thinking it was easy because some reviews said it was easy, but what they meant it was easy to beat because the game gives you 5 credits on default. So basically, I played it a lot, but I was quite bad at the time. So I got to clear it, but later on, maybe a year later, a year after starting to play it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really impressive looking game, and the Saturn was a really good shmup console, especially if you did do imports. Did you import it, or did you just play the Terra Diver version? Or no, there was no Terra Diver version on the Saturn, so you must have had the import.
Yeah, I bought a Japanese Victor Saturn. It's actually not a Sega Saturn, and I bought it already modded because I'm not a big expert on the hardware. And as I said, I basically bought it to play just one game, which was Sakura Taisen. And then I got to play Sakura Taisen 2, and other games were a bit of fighting games like Sega Rally, stuff like that. Basically, when I buy a console, I buy it for a game, and then when I have the console, I just look at what feels cool. And I noticed there was a lot of shmups, so I read a lot of stuff about shmups, and got really curious. And when I got to play it, I really enjoyed it, and I kept on playing and playing. So until the point I I got the community record for Soki a few years ago, that was beaten recently by DMC. And yeah, basically just playing and have fun. Like I didn't have any goals at first. Like I never thought I'd be able to beat to run pretty clear this game, but just playing and enjoying the game. And the thing that drives me really in Suki is more like the story, the graphics, the music. Like I like games for like their systems, but like the production aspect is very important for me when I play Shmup.
Yeah, then the soundtrack, yeah, by Hiroshi Sakimoto, and yeah, it's another banger by him for sure. I quite enjoy it. It's really majestic sounding, like a lot of his music, kind of around that era. And
yeah, exactly.
It fits the game pretty well too.
Yeah, it's really epic, but also has an industrial like feel to it. So it's kind of like interesting, considering the game's plot, which is basically corporate warfare for resources in the 2050s, and like wars hidden to the public, and wars between like countries and like contractors, and like to have this epic music, which like is reminiscent of some other Sakimoto compositions, such as RPGs, is like pretty, like really puts a good feel into the game. And there's actually lots of parts of the music that repeats into stages. Like for example, if you listen carefully, the stage 3 boss Donryu theme is the same as the final boss, while the stage 6 boss theme. So it's kind of interesting.
It's got those sweet music motifs going on.
Yeah,
it brings back the melody over and over. Like that's kind of what he did in Radiant Silvergun as well, and to great effect, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And also what I like is that every boss has its own soundtrack. Like it's not like only one boss theme and then the final boss theme. It's like every boss has a specific theme.
That's pretty sweet. So we've been rattling off and whatnot. I did forget to mention that I am Aquas, I'm your host, and I'm being co-hosted by Yūichi Maximo as well today. So yeah, how are you doing, Yūichi Maximo?
Doing good, man.
So, Prickly Angler, why don't you get into talking about some of the mechanics of this game before we get set up, and maybe if you want to just talk about like kind of what sets it apart from other shmups with its systems.
Well, a lot of stuff actually. It was my second shmup, but it's actually not a very orthodox shmup. First, because it's vertizontal. The first thing we should note about the screen is that you have a lot of room for horizontal scrolling to the left and to the right, and that is something that is quite useful for like some of the stages to know that you have that much room to the left, to the right. So the dodging is a bit particular because most of the bullets come pretty fast, and the game actually doesn't have a lot of patterns, like fixed patterns. It's like mostly aim bullets and some missiles and some stuff like that. So like dodging is kind of different. Like if you're used to vertical games, like it might feel a bit hard at the beginning. Then what we can say is that the game is inspired obviously by Ray Force and Ray series, which basically means you have a lock-on. The big difference though is compared to Ray Force, in Soukyugurentai you can lock enemies that are above you, not only below, and also the ones that are in the same playing field. And you can also lock enemies outside the screen. So some enemies, like you can kill them even before they even appear. And so yeah, it's a very aggressive game because ideally you shouldn't let the enemies even fire, because as soon as they fire, like some patterns are like plain impossible. It's more a game about interception, like destroying enemies before they get to fire. What we can say also is that you have 3 buttons. One is for the shot. If you keep it pressed, you have the lock. The lock activates focus mode, so you'll be slower when you have the lock. And then you release A to release the lock, and like it does a powerful damage. You also have the shot, you can tap for that. Then you have the bomb. You have 3 different types of bomb. One is just by pressing B. The other one is by pressing A and B, which is a defensive bomb, which is much weaker, but is kind of useful for scoring in certain situations. And then you have the lock bomb, which is the bomb you have when you have locked the target and you press Then you have the third button, which is C, which is used for changing the locks. Each different ship comes with 2 different types of lock. One that is more powerful and one that is weaker. And they both have different ranges, so it can be useful to change depending on the situation. And the game has 6 stages and only 2 extends. So it's not like other racing games where you can just milk extends every X. Like you have 2 extend and that's it.
Gotcha.
The scoring system is a bit similar to Rayforce. In that the more enemies you lock and you kill with the lock, the higher the multiplier. And the difference though is that every enemy is worth the same, unlike Rayforce where the last enemy is worth more than the ones before. There you can lock basically anything any way you want. And each ship comes with a different scoring abilities. The one that is used the most, the red, the S.O.Q 004, is actually the most handy to use, but it's also the one that scores the less. And then you have the S.O.Q 010, which is the blue ship, which is incredibly weak and very fast, but very interesting to use. And then you have the green ship, which is like the most powerful in theory, but in practice, it's really hard to use, and it's the one that scores the most. And you also basically how the system works is that you get a multiplier depending on how many enemies you've locked. If you've locked only 1 enemy or 2, you basically get a 0.5 multiplier, which means you'll lose points. And if you have 3 enemies, you get normal value, and then 4 is by 2 multiplier, 5 is by 3. 6 is by 4, etc. And the maximum enemies you can lock is with the green ship, which can lock 8 different targets. The one I use only can only lock 6 different targets.
Okay, well, that's pretty interesting. You can get negative score for low lock count.
Yes, exactly. And if you destroy an enemy with the bomb, like if the bomb destroys the enemy, it will be multiplied by 0.25, which means you'll divide by 4 the value of whatever enemy.
Okay, so I guess it's like one downside to the lock being all-encompassing.
Yes,
is
exactly.
that if you don't use it to great effect, I guess they punish you a little bit there. It's interesting.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's also good to lock as many targets as you can, most times, even for survival, because for survival, when you have many enemies blocked, like usually like you destroy them fast, and then you can just move on to the other target, and it's more efficient. And you also have like not many people know this, but there's actually like a medal system. It's pretty weird, but you have power-ups in the game, and as you take power-ups, when you reach max, basically every power-up you'll get will be worth 10k. So that's nobody does that actually, because you get pretty insane rank by taking power-ups in this game. Like it's the main source of rank, which is also like something pretty strange and pretty unusual, like for shoot 'em ups. And like you have that in Gurega, but like in Gurega you have a bunch of different things, and like death really reduces rank. There, like it's basically the power-ups. Then you have time, which influences the rank, but like the power-up is like a big source of rank. And the way it works is that your luck is always maxed out on power, and the power-up is only useful for the shot, basically. So since the shot is weaker, like you don't really have an incentive to take the power-up, items. And also the different thing, the other thing is that in this game there's a rather infamous bug, which encourages no miss, no bomb, and like picking every bomb. Because the way it works is that originally you were supposed to have like a bonus of like 16,000 points for every bomb you took, but there was a bug in the programming, and the way it works is like you pick bombs and like they increase, like you get bonuses that are higher and higher, and like when you take the 11th bomb, like every bomb after that, if you take them, is worth like 600 and 50,000K, which is a lot because like world record scores are like 40 million. So for world record scores, like the bomb bug is worth like roughly a third of your score. And the thing is, it's completely random because actually it's even more random than Metal Black because the bombs can basically appear whenever they want, wherever they want, and sometimes like there are strats like to predict where they'll drop and like to leave room for a take event, but like often like the bomb is just going to appear above a bullet and like there's nothing you can do. So yeah, there's also that aspect, and it's an aspect I really don't like to be honest. And yeah, it's really something that ruins the game for me because it prevents also other strats for like bombing, like for score, and like it's just doesn't feel very Rising, you know, like to have to no miss no bomb and like pick every bomb, and yeah, it's like pretty weird. And like the game already encourages no miss the bomb in a way, or rather using your bombs in a good manner. So yeah, in my run I don't use this bug. The thing also I want to point out is that even if you intend to use this bug, like the points are not reliable, you know, because it can drop basically anywhere, and I think it's maybe better to learn how to get the chains and like the points, like the regular points, and then to focus on the bomb bug because it's not worth that much. It's worth a third. And yeah, like you will only focus on that and like not on the enemies and
yeah, I mean, unintended gameplay type of deal. So I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And it's worth a lot, and actually it's quite hard to do. Like I've tried it a few times. Like actually I've gotten a few bonuses, but never on runs that were successful. And the thing is, I had to work consistency for Shmup Slam. And when I worked for that, like I didn't take any risk with scoring. I just focused on survival. And right now I'm at a point where I could easily beat my PB by just taking a few bombs. But like I'm not really interested into that. I'm more interested in like the locking system. I like maybe when I'll work better on the on the locks, maybe I'll go for a few bombs. But like it's not something I want to grind because. It's really RNG as hell. Like it doesn't show it's that much RNG because it requires to like no miss no bomb the game, and no one does that. Like each section has been individually no miss no bomb, but like I have never seen a replay that no miss no bomb the game. Like the final two bosses are like way too hard to like do consistently.
Yeah, it's I've played this one a bit myself, and yeah, it really throws some crap at you that's tough to deal with, and I've seen the rank kind of get out of control, and that is interesting that you say you don't actually end up collecting too many of the extra power-ups for a score, so I'm curious to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, actually I take power-ups, but like for survival. Basically stage 4 and stage 5 and 6. You have lots of missiles and stuff like that, and I prefer to have a wider shot. It's not something that most people do since it increases rank and like bullet speed, but it's something I feel more comfortable with because otherwise you just have to lock like annoying Zakos, and it can get a bit dangerous. And yeah, what I don't like about the bug is like I've heard some people say like it's skill separator or stuff like that, but actually if it wasn't for the bomb, max scores, like theoretical max scores, would have to be done with the power-up chaining, which craps up the rank to insane levels, and then you'd have to no miss no bomb that. So in my opinion, it feels way more exciting than like just stalling bosses and like picking bombs and like because the no miss no bomb, honestly, it doesn't like. I'm not against that. Like I played Iris Gun for score, and like it encourages no miss the bomb up to a certain level. It's more the fact of like picking random bombs in wherever they want to spawn, and like if they spawn into a bullet and there you just screwed, and like you've just wasted like 20 minutes if it happens on like stage 5 or stage 6, you know.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and actually I've seen a Japanese super player, like a brilliant player, which is called AUM_AUN, which played Soki, I think it was last year, and like he got the clear pretty quickly, and then he focused on scoring, and like he focused like only on the bug, like he didn't do any chaining with the locks, and like completely discounted that, and basically like it was very painful because there were some runs that were like going perfectly. It just like screwed, but like stage 3 boss, and like it was just resetting every time. And then he just dropped it and like deleted all his replay. And I was quite sad because it's a player that counter-stopped and no missed Great Mahu Daisakusen. And I'm like, why doesn't he first go for the consistent source of points? You know, like why does he go for like the no miss, no bomb, you know, cringe stuff, and instead of just first learning the game and then implementing that if you want to go for the extra score.
Yeah, I mean that can be pretty subjective, right? I mean, getting to the reasons why we play these games to begin with, and if it's you know, just the score that the player wants and they want to get it in any way possible, then they're probably going to try to do their best, even if it's like annoyingly difficult. And sometimes it is like that, and
yes, exactly.
I don't know, like it's up to the person to pursue
exactly.
that.
And like it's just an opinion. Like I don't like this bug, but for example, DMC likes it a lot. Like thinks it's exciting because you have to watch out for like occasions, etc. For me, it's more like the bad game design that bothers me. It's not the hard stuff, because it is hard to do. It's more like it's hard and it's inconsistent as hell, and like sometimes you just screwed. And if you would get 2 players who would do like the perfect runs, like one could have like, I don't know, like 6 million more and the other like 6 million less. And just because of RNG, you know, like in that sense, it's way worse than Metal Bug because it's 1/3 of your score, but it's just the bomb.
Yeah, it's just it's just that matter of imbalanced skill in the run and that type of thing.
Yes, exactly. Yes, so yeah, if you want to really go for like very high score, like above 30 millions or like maybe even above 40 millions, that would be pretty insane to see that outside of Japan. Like, yeah, I first recommend to learn like the lock system, because it's the most consistent source of points, and like there's a lot of points you just get from that. And like there's some RNG in the game, obviously, but like those sorts of points are like mostly consistent, like lots of stages, like you have your strats and like just execute. The bomb thing is like can completely screw you over, and like you can have no luck.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can think about trying to get into the replay here, but Maximo, did you have any tidbits you wanted to bring up about the game or Raizing or anything like that?
Just main thing, I haven't played this game too much myself, but was familiar with the Raizing shooting game developer interview that was on Shmuplations from 2010, where they kind of talk about some of the development aspects that went behind the game, mostly focusing on why exactly like they made the game look as it is, with all these like really stark big ass kanji text everywhere, which apparently was something that they were aiming to take from tokusatsu films such as Gamera. They also mentioned a funny tidbit about people. They received a lot of feedback from people saying that the big kanji resembles like the sort of big kanji you see in like Evangelion, which they claim is like, we didn't have time to be influenced by that, even though we all watch TV. And then remark that they were also influenced by Gunbuster, Aim for the Top, which kind of similar in that aspect. It kind of plays into the whole idea of a media filtered reality for news programs and such. And you also have like these fake newspaper articles in the ending screen that were added for the same reason, along with the fact that the STV hardware, which is based on Sega Saturn hardware, has an expanded ROM size, which allows them to include large Japanese fonts from the get-go.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, there's actually 2 Saturn editions. There's the regular one, and then the like player's choice one, which is like white. And it's the one I have, and actually it has insane detail on the lore and like huge text with kanjis and like training mode, and like there's also the Mahu soundtrack. It's almost like the M2 shot trigger release before the time. It has a lot of different cool features.
That sounds sweet. Yeah. Okay, well, I think I am ready to watch this replay, and hopefully Prickly Angler ready to comment it, and should be pretty sweet. It's not too long here, about a half-hour run, but I really like the pacing and the length of the game myself, and I'm pretty curious to see how this is gonna go down.
Yeah. And by the way, only one detail, like the replay we're watching now, like I'm like almost 100% sure it's Tas.
Oh yeah,
the person does really insane stuff, and like I've never seen anyone play like that before.
Yeah, I was watching it myself, and I was like, yeah, some sus movement / dodges.
Yeah, like picking max power up in this game is like really bad.
It's just for presentation purposes only.
Yeah, it shows the game quite nice.
Yeah,
the fight way.
Yeah, it's a thing. It was like one of the top search results when I was looking for some footage. So, 1cc though.
yeah. I mean, it's not cheating because like there's no rule on YouTube saying like you should label your videos. So
yeah, but there should be. YouTube should be the cheater police for us.
Yeah, I mean, in any case, it's really obvious to see. Like, it's not some players where you're like, I'm not really sure, but like, no, this one I'm pretty sure it's cheating.
It's always amusing. But anyway, I'll get the replay queued up here, and we'll go to our replay scene.
Yes, I have it right now on my desk.
And I'll give us a countdown. It'll be a 3, 2, 1, go, on go countdown.
I'm ready.
Yeah, waiting.
Cool. All right. Here we go for Prickly Angler's 1cc run on Soukyugurentai. 3, 2, 1, go.
So this is a 1cc I did. Actually, it's my first recorded 1cc of this game, and I did it maybe 1 or 2 years ago in 2001, end of 2021, and it's actually my highest scoring replay, and it's actually quite close to my PB aside from one big mistake in the run, which I'll discuss later on. And I've actually improved some of my techniques for scoring. But since I grinded survival consistency for Shmups Slam, I haven't had time to implement them yet. So this is first stage. So the first waves are random, they can either come from the left or the right. And then we have a very interesting section where lots of things can happen. Basically what I'm doing is triggering enemies off screen that never appear. And if you do that right, I have a strat that gets me above world record score just during that section, but it requires luck. And right now I hadn't had any luck because I needed the carrier to come at a very specific place. So basically I lost maybe 50,000 points from what I can do best. But as I said, the scoring system is mostly locking enemies into others. So most times you want to get by 4 multipliers for most enemies, and because this ship can only lock 6 enemies and get by 4 multiplier maximum.
Do you want to end the lock-on chain with a higher point value enemy, like Rayforce style, or
no? It doesn't matter. It's the same. Now, what you want to do is just let the carriers drop their tanks, and you can get 600,000 points there. But I missed the last lock-on. I only got by 2 multiplier instead of by 4. It's not a big deal because it's not like a chaining system like Gonpachi where you make a mistake and your score is really hindered. Right there is more there's lots of points into the game, and if you want to have maximum points, you just have to do your best in every section. Each session is rather independent, which is something I like actually. So on this boss for points, I'm locking basically the rocket hatches. But the thing is, I have a technique that is a technique I've been using for a lot of time, and basically it's not consistent, because if you want to destroy them in a very consistent manner, it's best to do it on the side. But it's one of those habits I have since playing that game for a while, and when you're doing something and you've been doing it for over and over and again, it's kind of hard to get unused to. So right now I'm just waiting for the capsule to get the maximum multiplier on the boss. But for the missile hatches on the side, I kind of leave them up to chance. and sometimes I get them fully, and actually in this replay I didn't have any. And right now I had the 0% destruction. Basically in each stage you'll get a bonus depending on how many enemies remain, and 0% is the maximum, and when that appears you have like those kanjis that appear on the screen, and then you have a 500k bonus points.
So how do you get that? I mean, how do you have to destroy every
enemy?
Every enemy? Okay.
Yeah, and that's also something I don't like about the bomb bug, is that if it wasn't for that, you'd have lots of strat for like just bombing enemies and like trying to get as close to zero as you can. And I've gotten 0% a few times in stage 3, but it's like really hard. And I had it one time on stage 4, which was pretty insane because I've never seen that. I didn't even believe it myself when I did it, but yeah, it is possible. So okay. I think with bombs you could find strat to make that more consistent. Right now it's a section with the turrets, and what I'm going to do is just kill the right turret with shot, because it makes everything, every next lock much easier. Like you can get by 4 multiplier on the turret I destroyed with shot, but it makes the late section like much more convoluted, and right now it's like pretty easy to just get max multiplier. And it's actually a pretty safe route for survival right now.
Okay, so it's basically like you just sub-optimize that one turret there just to make it easier. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's something I need to improve for like score, like maybe find a way to destroy this turret. But yeah, right now I haven't done it. Those enemies are very interesting because like it will require insane math to find out the best way to destroy them, and like even if you figured out the math, it would not be reliable to do, because the lock-on system is just like not really reliable. Like you lock whatever, and the thing also is there's collateral damage. Like each time you use your N.A.L.S, there's like, if you use the pinpoint, which fires heavy particle bullets, it will create like kind of like I don't know, like an explosion, and that will hurt enemies next to it. And if enemies get destroyed by that, like you still get max multiplier. But that means getting every lock is not really consistent. It's not like Rare Force where just lasers go into the enemy. Like right now you have, like in this game you have like a spread radius which hurts the enemy. And right now I'm destroying those parts with shots. The mine throwers you see on the right aren't worth any points actually. I just mark them for tick points. And then you have the antennas that can only be destroyed with shots. This boss is a really fun boss for score, because there's like lots of different parts and like you have to take your time. The only part that takes damage is the core, and like I'm not even damaging it much right now, because mostly destroying the turrets and the hatches.
So is this one of those deals where when you destroy certain parts it triggers the next
yes, more or less
attacks and parts?
Yes, but boss scripts are like really complicated in this game. Like you have to see them a lot to understand them. And this boss has a bunch of different things it can do. Like right now he's into berserk mode because he doesn't have anything left. But actually it doesn't matter to not fully lock the final phase, like the boss itself, because the boss itself is only worth 10,000 points. So I think it's even less optimized to destroy it with the high multiplier, because otherwise you'll miss on some turrets. And like some of the turrets of the boss like are worth as much as the boss. Like it's really a game you want to know the enemy values if you want to score.
So it seems like
do some math.
So it seems like in general you always want to dissect the bosses just because of the base point value of the parts is pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. And on some bosses it changes. Like some bosses like they only have 1 hit point, so it really depends on each boss and like how the patterns work. On this section I prefer to take the Halo because it has a more interesting range. And then I just try to get as much as by 4 multiplier as I can. This section has a lot of enemies, so usually it's not that bad. And if I'm in a bad spot, like I'll get a by 2 multiplier or by 3. It's not a big deal. Like it's always better like to keep the life for later on. Like maybe even suicide, because I don't use the bomb bug, so I could potentially like include suicides on my route for like getting more bombs and stuff like that, because bombs are quite useful for scoring. Like if you use them in the right way. They suck up the points if you destroy enemies with that, but if you just use them to get them to low HP, like it can be really interesting. And right now I have a bomb because otherwise I wouldn't have gotten the carrier, which is like the red enemy, which is actually worth quite a lot. And this is a strategy that is possible if like you don't trigger the bomb bug. And I used the defensive bomb because it doesn't do a lot of damage. So it doesn't last for a while. So it's quite useful if you just want to use it for score without the bomb bug, obviously.
Sure. So you go ahead. What were you gonna say, Maximo?
Oh, I was just affirming that. Yeah.
Yeah, this section you have enemies on the left, and like you can lock some, but like they're not counted in the full enemy destruction. It's pretty weird. And like with this ship, you cannot lock many, but with the other ones you can. And on this section, I kind of sacrifice some points because it's kind of tricky. And if you want to get by 4 multipliers, you have to basically dodge crossfire. I recommend watching N.A.L.S world record video for this ship. And it's really interesting what he does, just like how he locks enemies into, like it's really interesting because what he uses is swap lock. Just takes one lock and then switches for like max power. But since he has the half circle lock, it's pretty interesting to do that because you use the range of one lock and the power of the other. So this is Donryu Hurricane Dragon, which is a rather infamous boss. Because it can do lots of different things, and like newcomers generally don't like this boss too much. And for score of this one, like it's kind of like I recommend not to be too greedy because some parts like he'll reveal them, but like only once or only twice. Like the boss can basically do whatever it wants. So if I get a good shot at like destroying some of the parts, I just do, and like don't care because like even like there's a way you could get by 4 multiplier on this boss, and this boss is worth 100k, so it will still worth a lot. But the thing is, it's not really realistic to just leave these parts alive, and that's the Gatling Vulcan like it's a pattern many players don't like. It's actually one of the most fun patterns in the game. And right now I'm just going to wait for the capsule to get the boss with a by 2 multiplier.
So the boss does have a higher base score you want to get multiplied? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the boss is worth 100k, and the parts themselves are worth a lot. Like flamethrowers are worth flamethrowers are worth 30k. Like the rear turrets are worth 10k. The missile hatch is worth 20k. So and also the Vulcan cannons are worth 50k each, but like usually you do not want to get them because the thing is, even if you destroy them with the high multiplier, like you won't be able to lock the boss with the stars because the stars are no longer there. So that's why like really optimizing this game to perfection would require pretty insane math. And the thing is, it would not technically be doable because the lock, like you cannot lock everything precisely as you would want to.
Yeah, it's such a wide arcing cone, the lock, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like in this stage, like just whatever comes into the lock goes into the lock. Like you don't have that much control. And on this stage, actually, I bomb to get below 10% enemy destruction because you get a pretty big bonus, like 150k, just for getting below 10%. Like I think
there's
10%,
like thresholds for the scores. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And like 10% is a big threshold, so that's why I used a few bombs. And this section is actually quite chill. You just have to focus on every tank, and like it's important not to panic, like just to take them out one by one. And
I see you weakening some of the enemies with shots, so you can finish them off with the lock.
Yeah,
so that's something you're doing.
Yeah, that's something I'm doing. I take 2 power up levels for a shot for stage 4, but actually right now I've taken it by error. But when I take it by error, like I don't mind, I just go on like it's. Like I don't recommend resetting, like if you get power-ups accidentally, it's still better than taking a bullet. But yeah, like if you, don't take them intentionally.
So you really don't need many power-ups is basically what you're saying, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I recommend just learning to use the lock, because that's the most effective thing.
Seems like they mostly have the power-ups there just for prevent you from getting the score from getting them when they max out.
Yeah, like it's just for. Yeah, it's just for it's just I don't know for it's also quite weird because there's a message when you game over, but like recommends you to take power ups, which is pretty stupid because it's a huge ranking quiz. So this boss is
that money.
yeah, exactly. This boss is Akitaka. It's my favorite boss of the game, and it's inspired by Gundam OAV mech, and it's actually an easier boss than the first one. And this boss has no parts. It's just the boss itself, and the boss itself is worth 300k. So you can get as much as 1,200,000 if you destroy them with 6 lock-on tyrants. And it's actually my biggest mistake of the run is I'm going to get the boss at a point where I could destroy it with max multiplier, like right here, and I don't take the lock. And what's going to happen is basically I'm going to de-lock. When you have a certain target locked, if you don't destroy it, you basically get de-locked. And there I destroy the boss because this boss berserk form is pretty insane. And even people who stall the game for bombs, like they just kill the boss because it's random as fuck, so I just kill the boss. But the good thing is I bombed efficiently at the early stage, so I got below 10% and got a nice bonus for it. But yeah, I lost like 600k, so it's pretty bad.
Okay, that's a lot of score.
Yeah, this stage is one of the hardest stages to route because there's lots of different things, lots of different bullet sprites that go at a different speed, and it's a pretty hard stage to read. But my route is basically consistent. Like I sacrificed a bit of points in the beginning, and I also sacrificed points with the turrets because the thing is, those turrets there, like they only worth 1k. But when you destroy them, they release like a berserk form that fires bullets randomly, and this form is worth 20k, so it's quite a lot. And like the best players like lock into it, and it's not something I do a lot because it makes survival way harder. And I really recommend watching what N.A.L, KT on N.A.L does there because it's really insane and it's really beautiful. How
I mean, that does look pretty tricky. I mean, the screen's scrolling pretty quick, and
it's really tricky. You have to swap lock, and like the pattern is random. So yeah, it's really impressive. It's something I want to work eventually on the future because yeah, it seems really cool. And DNC has been because DMC's best run hasn't been recorded. But he told me he used that technique, and yeah, definitely want to try that out. Those two enemy planes, I would never be able to fully lock them and without bombing. Like I can do no Mr. Bomb, but like I don't get as many points, and like I get late for this section, and this section is quite hard. Like I've never missed it, no bomb it like several times, but it's not really consistent, and it's one of the harder stations if you want to keep the bomb bug chain going. But yeah, I basically just use a few defensive rounds to not inner enemies too much and still get points. I just missed a submarine, but otherwise its score was pretty decent. So this is Kaihu, the Sea Phoenix, actually really hard boss. Like the first phase is quite hard. Like those missiles are alright, but then you have like a pattern that is reminiscent of the Garega's first boss, the machine guns. It's likely way harder, and it's basically hurting, and it's really tricky. Yeah, and for points like right here, just want to destroy the reactors with by form multiplier, and yeah, you don't want to bomb it because it's really easy. The first phase is really easy with just one bomb, but yeah, like yeah, for score ideally you don't want to do. But the score on this boss was rather average compared to what I can do. Like I've got some high multipliers here and there, but like it was pretty. Yeah, I just took a death, like pretty stupid. And there's also a technique I didn't do in this one, which is basically this boss it's best to time out it because the third phase is, I mean, it's doable, but it's like really insane and really RNG. And what I do is I destroy the missile hatch or like the plasma gun it has on the back just before the timeout, and basically it goes into third stage, but like the first phase, but like the first phase is interrupted by the timeout. But I still get the points for him. But I didn't do it there because I don't know. Maybe I forgot.
So that's just like a safer way to take care of that boss instead of triggering.
Yeah, it is a safer way. Yeah, but what I do is I still destroy the last part, like just before. And for that I listen to the music. I use music.
Okay. So you still get the actual like points for the destroying the boss.
Not the boss, but just the last part. Like
okay, the part. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. What you have to say about those lasers is that the hitbox is much smaller than what it looks like, and also when they activate, like the hitbox isn't active. Isn't active at first. This enemy, this red enemy, if you destroy it really fast, you get this additional waves of enemies. But sadly, I didn't get by 4 multiplier on each, which is something I usually do. But and right now, this is one of the sections where I like the shot because the shot really allows for efficient enemy destruction. And these ones I lock them with the IDO, and yeah. In this stage is more straightforward. Like execution is still hard, but it's more straightforward than the one before. On this section, I use a bomb to weaken them, and I sometimes get by 4 multipliers, but I didn't get it very right now was a bit messed up. And it's a section where the world record bombs because it can be no-miss a bomb, like I've done it a few times, but it's just not consistent and not something you want to put into a route. But actually, I've seen another Japanese player, put it into a route, like no miss no bomb until that part. Like you lose a lot of points for these enemies because these enemies are worth a lot, but he keeps the bomb chain going. And the sad thing is that on the replay, he loses the bomb chain like really stupidly, and I was like, oh, it's so sad because he just no miss this section, no miss no bomb this section is a really insane section. So yeah, right now I accidentally took one power up, but it's like not a big deal. Like I'm near the end of the game, and it's not that bad. Right now after that there's a section where enemies are going to arrive in, and you have to destroy them in a very specific manner. Otherwise you'll just get cornered. Because the thing is, if you destroy the blue enemy on the right, like the green ship will just go down, and the 2 ships will go up, and you'll just face another really hard situation. But yeah, like watching this part right now makes me cringe a little bit because I got like by 3 multipliers instead of by 4. So yeah, it's not that bad, but it's still like it's a bit of a shame. Yeah, it could be better. Yeah, and this is the classic turret wall, and actually I find it really hard. Like DMC has a very good technique for getting it with by 4 multiplier, and yeah, it's something I need to work on because the patterns aren't really hard to understand. It's just the execution is really tight. And since I take the power up, I have a higher rank at this point. So yeah, it's something I'm going to need to work on in the future.
Yeah, the patterns really are quite fast and come at you quick. It seems like routing. It feels like it's probably pretty important for the game.
Yeah, it is. The thing is, there's lots of random elements and things that will not go as planned because the lock is not that precise. But the thing is, there's also a lots of memo. Like you really want to destroy enemies fast. Like for example, on this boss has 12 turrets. Like you don't see them right now, but they all come on screen. And those turrets, like if you don't destroy them like ASAP, like they'll fire like huge bullet walls. Like those 2 turrets on the front. Like they start firing like a few bullets, but then just go faster and faster and faster, and like they swipe the screen and. There's a point where like
I'm kind of remembering how annoying this was from my playthrough.
Yeah, and you played on the Saturn default difficulty, which is a bit lower than arcade. So yeah, in the arcade it's even more annoying. Yeah, because as in many ports, like they put the default difficulty a bit lower than arcade, which is
that is true.
Yeah, on this boss I used the bomb, and if I had another bomb, I would have used that one as well, because the cannons on the right are worth like 50k each, so you can get like a really high multiplier. The power in the center is like worth shit, like 10,000 points, but the cannons are worth a lot. So yeah, right now I'm also going a bit for safety. And yeah, there's lots of different things I've learned ever since Speedrun. For example, I have a technique for taking the rocket hatches just above the reactors. But actually, like on this run, I don't even destroy even one because I didn't use swap lock a lot at the time. Like just swapping lock, like getting the circle and then switching to the more powerful. So yeah, I don't get that many points on this section. Like the reactors, I got by 4 multiplier, which is the most important because they're worth a lot. But yeah, I didn't get. And there's also a part, I think it's worth 50k, like just the back of the boss, and I destroyed it with shot accidentally, so yeah. So yeah, like my run is like it's 21 million. Like my PB is 22, and the world record with the ship without the bomb bug is like 27 million. So yeah, it's a good story, but it's still a lot of things, little things that I could improve. Like yeah, and like yeah, the turret like right now, if you don't shoot it fast, it just flood the screen with bullets.
So could you explain again what the benefit of the swap lock is?
Basically, is to get the range of the weaker lock, which in this one it's more efficient on the side and less on the front, and then switching to the other lock to get the power of the other one, because the power of the IDO is weaker. Basically, this ship has the pinpoint and the IDO, and the IDO is weaker. So yeah, you could swap lock into a weaker lock, but like yeah, it wouldn't really make any sense, or maybe it could be used for some strats.
If it happens to point it out, if you could.
Yeah, I don't actually do swap lock here, but I have some videos on YouTube showcasing the technique.
Maybe we can take a look at that after then.
Yeah, of course. This is not the final boss, but the one before, and it's a boss where basically everyone throws bomb because it's just too bullshit. And the thing is, I've actually sometimes like dodged those attacks, like for some time. But like even if you dodge those attacks, like the boss has a lot of HP, so it's still you still, even if you die, like you still have to throw your bombs. And actually the part before that, the rotating lasers, they're worth a lot, but like they're very tricky to get it. And the world record, what he does is he destroys it with bomb, but just puts it at very low HP to get to get the max multiplier. And the part before that is worth 800k, and I got it with by 3 multiplier because I waited for the capsule. So that was 2 million and 400,000 points. So that was pretty good. And this final boss you have to destroy with shot because you cannot lock it into anything, and it's worth 1 million points. And luckily I destroyed it with shot. So I had one extent left. So yeah, it was pretty solid clear and pretty solid replay. Although there's a lot I could improve.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
Yeah, very nice.
Mutt is asking in the chat again about the swap lock. Is it to increase the range of the lock?
Yeah. I'll show a video. I link a video from my channel. Yeah, it's basically it's really useful with the green ship, the S.O.Q 025, because the S.O.Q 025 has the random lock, which is basically it's reverted from your movement. So basically, one of the main techniques with the S.O.Q 025 is just to use the central lock and like pan swap lock. I'll link the video for that, so it's clear. It's like a pretty advanced technique, but it can be useful.
Okay, sure. I'll load it up.
Yeah, I have I'll link the video into the chat.
Sure.
Just a moment.
We'll let the rest of your video play out for now.
Yeah, so I just linked the video, and basically I do this at the turret wall in stage 4, and then it's just to use a better multiplier. I don't know if I'm being clear. Sorry. But yeah, it's exactly what you say, Matt. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to show that video here. Could you link it in the Discord too, please?
Yeah, of course. It's actually really short.
I do have the playlist up as well.
Yeah, you can put the playlist if you want. It's just videos I've been doing to like showcase some weird stuff that can happen into the game. Like, for example, the third and fourth bosses have a really, they can really do different stuff depending on your run. So yeah. So basically, what I'm going to do now is just taking the Haidu and then pressing C when I still have the IDO locked to just switch to a more powerful lock, to switch to the pinpoint heavy particle bullets.
So you
because
do
what the IDO does, it just throws lasers, and the pinpoint throws those heavy particle bullets. Well, that's how they call that, at least in the lore. and yeah, when you swap lock them, it does more damage, and it's something really useful for the breaching for the S.O.Q 025.
So is there a timing to like doing it?
No.
Okay.
No. You can take your time, but it's something that is only useful for like the last lock, because otherwise it's just more powerful to do two I do locks.
So it's just a matter of switching the lock at a certain
Yes, exactly.
time.
Once you have a target lock. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty simple to understand.
Yeah, and you can also swap lock to a weaker lock, and that might be useful if you like, realize like you locked the target wrong and you still don't want to destroy it by losing points. If you just have 1 or 2 targets locked, so you can maybe try to swap lock into a weak lock to like preserve the like maybe something that is worth exploring.
Yeah. Was there any of the other videos in that playlist you'd like to like maybe show that are particularly cool or?
Yeah, like you could, maybe the ones that are on the first ones are more like explaining the game, the mechanics, but like you could put some berserk mode from like the 4th boss, which are pretty funny.
Okay.
Or like the 3rd boss. Yeah, like if you want to showcase the 3rd boss, is interesting because there's lots of different things you can do. It's I think it's lower on the video. On the playlist.
Yeah, there's 2 for Akitaka's 3rd phase, swinging lasers and shoulder back bolt spreads, as well as swinging rockets and flame shots.
Yeah. I'm sorry for the names. Like, I try to find names, but since the lore is in Japanese, I have no idea what the official names are.
Okay, I threw up the Akitaka Berserk video.
Yeah, basically on Berserk mode, he can have different cannons on and take different ones on each side, and like swing them. And like some arms it can swing, some others don't. And like this is why I take this boss out like really fast. Yeah, maybe you could show some other one, because those are really short clips, just to show different things it can do.
Okay. Like I'll just let some of these videos play through. Akitaka friendly RNG on 2nd phase.
This one is really funny because if you get lucky, like you just stay in the center and do nothing. It happens on the world record video. It's really funny.
There's like similar behavior too of Ray Storm's 5th boss, where sometimes they'll just throw the same laser attack and you can just get free lock on it.
Yeah, that's always funny. That's the gods of RNG being nice to you.
Yeah.
And what he can do is, like, right now he just fires bullets from every side. Basically, in the Berserk mode, he just combines every attack it has, and this is the reason why people who go for the bomb bunk, they just kill the boss. Like, they don't stall because the 3rd phase is like too insane to like it. Maybe possible, but it's like task tier. So. Like this game has many patterns that are like that, but like ideally you shouldn't want to see that, because he can mix the both arms, and like some arms he could shoot on the right, some on the left. So yeah.
So the point is that the bosses have a lot of different attacks depending on what phase they're in.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you're just kind of showing off some of the different attacks that you just inevitably will have to get used to after run.
Yes, exactly. Like like it's a reference if you like what the boss can do, and like there's some clips like I've still never been able to record because it's like 1 in a million times. Like there's like the bug on stage 5 buff where just the scrolling just continues forever or never, and you just miss the boss, and this one is actually a really weird one, and I've talked to the MC about it. It's the Gatling, the red firing before the red cannons firing before the yellow, and usually it's like always the reverse. And I have a theory, but it's a bit hard to confirm. My theory is that the boss movement is random, but like you don't really realize it because of the blue sea, and it's not something I'm really sure. But like, and maybe like the scrolling was in a way that. Those cannons, like appeared, and but it's like really a mystery to me. But yeah, I recorded it, and like
I wanted to ask like how much randomness is there to the bosses aside from them selecting their attacks? Like, is how random is the movement, or does it depend on the boss?
It depends on the boss. The
Yeah.
first one has random movement, and it can, the first boss when it decides to fire the rockets, like it can, just stay anywhere. The second boss is really interesting because the second boss moves according to you. It just like faces you, and if you go to the right or the left, like he'll move, like stay in front of you, but it's a very slow manner. So you can kind of like attracted to one place. The third boss is like completely random. It can go really low on screen. Fourth boss as well. The fifth boss, as I said, I think it is random, but it's hard to to confirm. And yeah, right now is the what I was talking to you about is just I destroyed the last part, and I still get the boss into third phase, but I time it out so I don't see the third phase patterns. Yeah, the video right after that, the one you were showing before.
Yeah, I'm just kind of going between these ones, but yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
maybe you should show also the third phase of Kaihu, the stage 5.
Sure. Okay, I'm playing that on loop now. Kaiho's third phase.
Yeah, this one is really fun, and it's a pattern I love. And also, one of the things I don't like about the bomb bug is that you would have to see this pattern ideally, and you would have to destroy it with shot if it wasn't for the bomb bug. But because of the bomb bug, players just stall this boss in timeout, and yeah, like this is doable, but yeah, it's like not something it's not something you want to put in a route.
Yeah, so we'll link the playlist in the YouTube description so you guys can take a look at all this stuff if you want to dig deeper into the game, because yeah, Prickly Anger's got a playlist here with like 47 little videos showing some different stuff that the game can do, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's also a work in progress. Like I still have many things to add, but actually my next goal with Soki is to clear the game with S.O.Q 010. Which is really weak. Like it's like I don't recall ever seeing a ship that weak in a shmup. And but yeah, it's really fun to use. But it's going to be difficult.
Okay, nice. I wanted to ask you, like, how would you say someone should approach learning this game, and like maybe then for score?
Just try to get used to the lock. Try to not take power-ups, but don't get obsessed with that. Like if you have the choice between taking a bullet or the power-up, like take the power-up. But yeah, learn to anticipate enemies and learn to destroy them before the fire. Like it's the most important. Like ideally, you should not want to see the patterns because most of the patterns aren't meant to be dodged. And basically, Mimo like the stage because it's still a heavy memo game. So yeah, if you're not too much into that sort of game, I wouldn't recommend it. And also, even though there's lots of memo, like there's lots of different things it can happen. So like yeah, be ready for anything and yeah, like keep your finger near the bomb button if you're playing for survival.
Yeah, those bombs are pretty damaging, aren't they? Too, yeah.
Yeah. When you use them right, because the defensive bomb A+B is really weak and is only useful for score without the bomb bug. The most powerful bomb is the bomb just used with B. This one is really powerful, and it's the one you should. And it's the one that gives the most high frame. So it's you really need to learn to not press A and just press B like sometimes people doing the Donpachi to get the wider bomb. Like right now in this game, like it's better to do it just for power because it's the most powerful. The log bomb is I don't find it really useful because it's not powerful. And the thing is, it's just better to release your lock if you have something lock and then quickly press B for the bomb.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but actually, I've played this game on, and yeah, maybe this is the chance to talk about the different version. I had the chance to play the STV at James Game Center last year, and first thing I noticed that the PCB has more lag than the Saturn, and it was my impression, but it was also Yum's impression, and Yum is like a guy that is really deep into seriality and stuff like that, and I actually trust his opinion more than mine. But yeah, it has more lag and yeah, it's a bit Yeah, what I wanted to say is that on the buttons I had on the cab, like I could not do the technique where I just released the lock and then threw a bomb, because the buttons were really sensitive. And I had the same problem playing Poster at another area. Is that sometimes the buttons are arcade are like really sensitive, and it might be useful for some games. But in this game where you want to like really release your button and then quickly press the other button without the game understanding that you still have the whenever I wanted to do that, I just threw a defensive bomb and it was pretty too bad. And the STV also has less slowdown. Actually, on Saturn, I have some strats on some stages where I just shoot to make the game slow down, and this wasn't. Yeah, it didn't seem to work as well on PCB. Like PCB has a bit less slowdown. Like it's not really that important, but it's something worth mentioning if you like used to Saturn slowdown. And also the STV has more sound effects, like explosion sound effects. Like it's really noticeable on some. Yeah, it's really noticeable.
How about the PS1 version?
Wow, I mean, it's really, if you're talking about like accuracy, it's pretty bad. But I mean, it's still a STV, STV port, and like the STV is such a, specific hardware. Like actually, it's still a good effort in my way. And like if you don't have any other ways to play the game, like I think you should consider the PS1 port, because it's it's still Soki. Like obviously like collisions and stuff like that are really different, but it's not not uncommon for the time to have like very different ports. For example, if you play Darius Gaiden on the Saturn, like it might not look at first, but like it's really different. Like
well, I mean, well with Soki, it's like with the Saturn, the STV, that it has that hardware in the system, so naturally the Saturn port's going to be better than the PS1.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, Mutmut, you're right. At least from what I've seen of your stream, if you play on the PlayStation 1 arcade difficulty, ranks seem to be higher than arcade or Saturn level 5 difficulty. But the thing is, if you play the PlayStation special mode, it's like way easier, and like the bullets are much. So yeah, it really depends on what mode we're talking about.
What about MAME? How does MAME fare?
Well, it has improved a lot lately. So I've seen a Chinopolis run, which actually very good survival run. I recommend this one with really safe strats. And it looks quite good. The only thing that looks funky as hell is the stage 5 boss. Like, it's really comical.
Some graphic glitches.
Yeah, like it's really funny. Like you should see it for yourself. Watch Chinopolis run. But yeah, what I wanted to say is for a long time, like people were like, oh, like I have no way to play Soki because it's on the Saturn, it's on the LCV, like I don't buy PCBs, etc. But actually, emulation has improved a lot. So if you're interested in this game, I recommend either getting Saturn emulation or MAME, and it seems to work fine for the most time. Like maybe you have some input lag, so maybe there's some ways to optimize it. I think Buffy has been playing the game like that, at least training. With like safe states, but N.A.L.S has made nothing. So try to give it a shot. Like if you want to play this game, if you're interested, like it has improved. Like it's not as bad as it used to be.
Yeah, I mean this is a pretty badass shmup, so you guys should try it out if you can. I did enjoy playing it a good bit myself.
Yeah, I saw you run. It was really fun. It's really like lots of different situations, and the style is really serious, but it's I like it a lot. It has a very unique feel, even still a bit different than other Raizing games, which are sometimes a bit funky and like
Well, I mean,
this one has.
And I like this more than Ray Force, I just gotta say.
Yeah, I haven't played Ray Force a lot actually. I've ordered it, but I'm not going to get shipped until I don't know 2023 or 2024. And there's still many games I'll have to play, so I don't think I'll be able to play Ray Force before maybe 2025 or something like that. But yeah, it's I've just played at a friend's house which has a multi-title, and I was blown away by the game. I just played it for like 15 minutes, but it's already one of my favorite shmups.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And yeah, I think you've played it as well, GG Maxima, and you enjoy Reforce too.
That was actually the first arcade shmup I cleared back in like 2015, and
nice.
I'm hoping at some point you can come back and break 7 million.
Yeah. Like scoring system seems really interesting, and it is going to be a bit hard for me to adapt in Suki because in Suki I'm just like lock everything, like don't care about the order. But in the Rayforce
Right.
you have to think about the order
Yeah.
if you want to have points.
I mean, but that's the good thing about the port too, is that it actually denotes like the lock-on chain and like how many seconds you have left in the chain before it starts delocking like first
really
targets.
interesting.
So
Yeah.
that it's a good tool that you can use to augment.
Yeah. Gadget seems really fine in that one. Like in some other games, I think they sometimes look a bit cheap in like the UH3D, but I've seen in some footage and it looks really nice, and really eager to play it. But yeah, since I bought it on a strictly limited game, and since I'm a grabber, I picked the collector edition. So yeah, this one will be shipped last.
It is good stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I do find it interesting though that the game kind of boasts the lock-on system being like lock on to everything, not just the background. So it is kind of like they're trying to be like a Rayforce killer type of thing or something like that.
Well, probably that.
Yeah,
I think it mentions that they noticed Raystorm was in development at that time too, so that was also like partially influenced, the design decisions going forward with, well, we can't compete with them in full 3D, so why don't we just...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say is it's a bit sad when you read the Yūichi interview, and when you watch the documentary. I'm going to link it into the chat, because actually he wanted to do a 3D game, but he couldn't do it, and like Soki was a result of that failure. Like I cannot do 3D because he didn't have the programming skill to do 3D, and it's a bit sad to hear because. Like nowadays we look at those era like PlayStation graphics and we're like, it's really bad 3D, and like the pixel art is like so beautiful. But at the time, the dude was just pissed not to be able to do 3D, and it's a bit sad.
Well, I noticed like in this game though, they do have a lot of like the sprite scaling effects and like the zoom in and zoom out, so you can still see they wanted like a 3D feel. So it's pretty nice actually.
Yeah, the game has a great sense of perspective for basically a 2D game, and it uses a lot of pre-render, but it's still the zoom in, the zoom out, like it really makes you feel like you're playing a 3D shmup when you have enemies coming from below, from above, and yeah, like it, you really need to. It's also something that is hard, and I want to mention because you asked me what are some tips I could give to newcomers. The first thing you want to understand is in which plane enemies are at. Like if they're above you, and it's not always clear because it's Raizing, and Raizing games have issues with visibility. So yeah, this one takes a bit of time to get into it. And you want to say?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's just like for Raizing games, this one does seem kind of out there in their library.
Yeah, and I think it's a good take on the Rayforce system. I kind of wish 1944 was like that. For the Capcom series of like 1940s, because this is like really Raizing's take on and Raizing style with applied to Rayforce, and like you feel 1944 is kind of kind of meh. Like there's still some Raizing feel, but it's not, like they didn't go full Raizing style.
Well, like all I can think of is like 19XX has that like charge that like locks onto the enemies and like damages them for a while. Like that's kinda something.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like the 1940 games didn't really try to do that.
Yeah, I like the bosses in 1944, but the game, I don't know, I have it on the Capcom Arcade Stadium, but the thing is, as a high input lag, so I'm not sure I have the motivation to play the game, but I still have to give it some chance because it's Raizing, and it doesn't seem that good. And we were talking about Terra Diver in Spain with Mark, hi Mark, and really
Nice.
really great game. And I'm going to link the interview of Toyama Yūichi, and it's one that is unlisted because actually it has been censored by Raizing, because you know how Japanese studios are, like they like to tell their stories all nice and pure, And this one has the part where Toyama talks about Raizing, like the Raizing Foundation, and like each game. And yeah, it's been censored, so yeah, you have the link, and I really recommend this interview. It has English subtitles.
Well, cool. We'll make sure to have that in the YouTube description as well for anybody who's watching this later. That's interesting. I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah, really a great watch, and the guy has a great great history because he's been through Technosoft, Compile, like he was the main developer on Musha N.A.L.S, then founded Raizing, worked on the Mahu games, then worked on Soki, and then after that, like recently he joined Taito, and he's been doing like pure work for them. Like he's the one behind the M2 collection, like got the deal with Taito, with M2, etc. So
wow,
it's really a nice career for a shoot 'em up, fan.
Man, that's crazy though. It's just like such a small world when it comes to some of these hardcore shmup devs. Yet we have like a million of the indie shmups out there, but like the big cheese guys are kind of hanging around ish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Mark was asking why the interview is censored. Well, basically just because Raizing didn't, like 18, they didn't want their story, to be like, because what the guy says about like Dimehu is like, well, basically I just couldn't do 3D, so I did Dimehu, you know what I mean? Did it as my last game. It's not something like, very, we can really say like in Japan, because in Japan everything is so like in the public relation, like it's really clean, and like you don't want to, for example, I was with Shantake in Spain, which works as at City Connection, and like some people were asking him about the lag, and he was like, wow, like he was a bit uncomfortable with the question. Like he said, like, yeah, we know there's lag, we know there's like, like he works at a company, like he cannot say anything he wants, and the interview is like you can find it on YouTube, but just the part about Raizing is basically censored. You can see it for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's some clarification there. Okay, sure.
Yeah,
maybe the whole thing was set unlisted or censored or something. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a few minutes, just the part. So yeah. And by the way, if you're watching the replay right now, don't do what's like this is slouchy here.
The slouchy dodges.
Yeah, like if you do that, it won't work.
Real Salucci moments.
Just imagine the chaos of the reloading the save states and just trying to weave through without not even knowing what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I got this. This is this is fun.
Yeah, this is fun. It's something you can do because actually the game has a really small hitbox. Like it's not Cave or Toho where you're going to micro dodge into the bullets because the bullets are really fast. So, but it's actually when you watch replays, you're like, like how did I get through this? So actually, TAS might not be that difficult to do. But I'm still curious how he does the boss, the stage 6 boss, because stage 6 boss has a lot of HP. So even with a TAS, you still have to work a bit on it.
I guess a lot of time it's like they have it the game slowed down. And then they like play the section, and then they like the replay just plays it back at normal speed. I don't know. I'm not sure how these things work exactly, but
yeah, I think Gigi Maximo talked about that with Mark MSX in the podcast, so maybe he can tell us more about that. But yeah, there's many different threads for that.
I need to listen to that.
I think I go over some of the stuff that have been going on in the community at that time with people who were players and people no longer with us. So yeah.
But yeah, this replay at least is definitely a TAS. There's no doubt about it. Well,
we thank them for their efforts, nonetheless.
Yeah. And yeah, there's been some like more Soki videos lately, like Shmuplations run,
okay.
And recently I've just seen a run that was uploaded a few hours ago, and uses a really interesting strat on the third free boss, like the patterns people don't like he just cheeses the pattern going behind the boss. So it's
man. So
really
going into 2023, still new stuff with Soki.
Yeah, still
Good
new stuff
times.
being discovered. And yeah, if you like the game, as I said, maybe try
Oh,
it out.
those dodges!
Yeah. Yeah, those were turrets that
Oh,
you
God.
do not want to live alive. Like those turrets you want to destroy them ASAP. And actually they take more than one lock to be destroyed. So yeah, you have to do some thinking to. Like what I do is I just do one lock and then use the shot. But obviously it's not optimized because I destroy them with the shot. So yeah, still have some thinking to do before destroying them. But yeah, if you let them live, like it's just hell.
Yeah, I just gotta say, like, with these tasks, like they need to make them like to be entertaining if they're gonna be doing
Yeah.
this, you know, like at least
Yeah.
make it like entertaining, and like if you're gonna have some of the like the bullshit dodges, just make sure like the whole thing is that.
Yeah.
Or like, you know,
Yeah.
or like letting the enemies fill like the top of the screen, like shooting
Yeah, yeah.
everything and like letting the chaos just build up completely, and then
Yeah.
just like getting through it like you just
I mean,
whatever.
I think the most interesting tasks of stuff I've seen are just like, who was it? Pearl made like a
Yeah.
task, Red and Fighters 2. That was absolutely nuts to see, like, because that game is like a grace mechanic too, and it's like the amount of like crazy grace strats that I don't even know if all them are possible in real play, but it's just very cool to see like how optimized you can make it with not only that, but then all the other secrets as well that game has. It's just
Well, it's usually nice because I mean, you can usually take something from a task like that and implement it into a real run. So it's like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
good. It's good to have that science out there
Yes.
at the very least.
Yes. Yes. On the theoretical level, it's really interesting, and yeah, it's really useful for score, like learning how to do stuff. And like yeah, right now you see there's no bomb being used, and like the boss has a lot of HP. Like this boss has a lot of HP. So yeah, I've never seen anyone no miss no bomb this part completely, and I would really like to see it. Because yeah, those missiles like they don't look like very much of a threat, but like they have the weirdest angles, and like you have to do like a huge circle to just, and then you have to go back to the center and dodge the bullets that come back. So yeah, or you could just take a really big shot like they do and just do funky dodges.
Just pure reflexes there. Pure reflexes.
Yeah. How to play how to play Soki.
it's one frame inputs, no problem.
Yeah, but you can see how insane the HP of the boss is. Like, yeah, like seriously, I
So
would
that's
really
just-
want to see someone, yeah.
Wow.
Like
So the bombs
it's
really do a lot of
self-destructed.
damage then.
Yeah,
damn.
like,
Okay.
yeah, the boss just self-destructed. Like, they didn't even kill it, and yeah, like, yeah, there's like this game has also it was a bit good for me to first begin with Soki because the game has so much bullshit that you know, when you've played this game, like you tend to not complain too much about like other types of bullshit in all the shmup.
Yeah,
Like there's so much in you know, like impossible patterns that you're like, yeah, whatever.
This is sweet when the boss like locks onto you with its own
Yeah.
thing. That's great.
Yeah, the final boss is really cool. I've noticed no bombing on occasion, but it's like really random, and the patterns are really fast. And actually, it's also a bit of an annoying boss for score because well, you cannot do just shots because it still has some HP, and you can bomb it, but sometimes when you bomb it, the boss goes outside of screen, and yeah, it can be hard to get to just destroy it with the shot, even if you have a few extends in stock.
All right, well, I think we're probably coming to the end of this one, but yeah, it's been fun to learn about this game, and as usual, I want to play it again. I think I might have to. I do have the Saturn hooked up.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to crank that difficulty up, as you said. Saturn, not arcade difficulty by default. So
Yeah,
good to know.
I mean, clearing the game in Saturn difficulty is still an achievement because, you know, there's still a lot of things you need to learn, etc. But yeah, that arcade difficulty has more rank, and yeah, it's more aggressive. Like you can feel the difference, but what you did in your run would mostly work out on an arcade difficulty. You know, it's not that different.
Okay, cool. Thanks for noticing.
Yeah.
My run
Yeah, I really
anyway.
encourage people to play this game if they're interested. I mean, it's a very specific shmup. Like, not be for everyone's taste, but since emulation has improved, I think if you're interested about this game, it might be worth it to give it a shot.
It's a great game for sure. I say. The Hitoshi Sakimoto soundtrack. I mean, how can you go wrong?
Yeah, and also Yoko Kenichi's art, which he did Battle Garega, Armed Police Batrider.
Okay.
Oh,
Also,
nice.
Nakashima, who worked into the game, which was Battle Garega's director. And yeah, there's also something not mentioned a lot is that Manobu Namiki did the sound effects, and the sound effects are really cool.
Okay, that's a lot of good stuff there with the credits. Yeah.
I didn't realize there was that much overlap with Garega stuff.
Yeah, there's a bit. And main programmer Toyama Yūichi is thanked in the Garega credits. His nickname is Healthy Toyama.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
sort of a Japanese arcade shmup nickname culture.
Yeah, I know this was a pretty fast-paced game to commentate and whatnot, so you can always reach out to Prickly Angler, I'm sure, if you want to learn some more about the game. But thanks a lot for coming on. This was really cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been an honor to be here. I've been a fan of the show for a long while, and I'm really happy that the show is returning and that I've been able to participate.
Yeah, awesome. Perhaps we could have you on again for something else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for coming.
with pleasure.
All right, we'll wrap it up here for episode 191 on Soukyugurentai, also known as Terra Diver. Thanks everyone for coming out, and yeah, we'll see you next game.
Bye-bye.
Yep. See you next game.